So today we're going to continue looking at agents of disease that are microscopic. And I want you to remember, first of all, if nothing else, bacteria are helpful in most cases. There are definitely bacteria that are agents of disease and can make us sick, but for the most part, we need bacteria. They decompose dead, decaying matter. They help us digest our food. So bacteria are very, very necessary. So not all bacteria are bad. Now, they are all unicellular. They are all prokaryotic because if you can see from the picture, they do not have their DNA, their genetic material bound in a nucleus. It is just floating in the cytoplasm like a tangled string. They do have a cell wall like a plant, plus a cell membrane, and they have some ribosomes. So they don't have as many organelles. They're not as complex a cell as, say, your skin cells, your heart cells. They're not as complex. And the oldest fossils on the earth are bacteria. So they've been around a long time. All right, so bacteria can move on their own power if they have a whip-like tail or the flagellum, and many times, as you look at the picture in your book on page 449, they can have multiple flagellum. It doesn't have to be a single tail. Some are carried by the air. Some that live in water are moved by the water current. So they do move in a variety of fashions depending on the species. They come in three distinct shapes, and the end of their scientific name will have to do with what shape they are. So, for example, Streptococcus, bacteria that causes strep throat, we know by that ending, coccus, that they are round-shaped bacteria. The bacilli are rod-shaped, and the spirilla are spiral-shaped. And you can see, I've just got some sketches here, but if you look in your book on page 450, you can see actual microscopic pictures of these different bacteria. So you've got the bacteria that causes Lyme disease is spiral-shaped. I've already mentioned Staphylococcus aureus, which is found on your skin, not the one that causes strep throat, but another species of Staphylococcus is round. And then E. coli bacteria has a rod-like shape, and that's what's found in your intestines and helps with the digestion and final breakdown of our solid waste. Now, bacteria are larger in size than viruses. Remember, viruses are measured in nanometers. Micrometers are a little bit larger. So it is a millionth of a meter versus a billionth of a meter in size. We're going to, when we finish our notes, I've got some blown up examples to compare the different sizes of viruses and different bacteria to some of our protists. So we'll look at that after we get all our notes done. Some bacteria are autotrophic, so they can carry out photosynthesis using sunlight to make their own food, or remember there are bacteria in the deepest parts of the ocean that carry out chemical synthesis where they are able to take their nutrients from the hydrothermal vents and produce food. They're the bottom of the food chain. We also have bacteria that are heterotrophic in that they have to consume food, and those are our decomposer bacteria. Now, bacteria get their energy. Most can undergo respiration where they are able to convert oxygen into energy, but there are anaerobic bacteria which are able to produce energy without oxygen. Remember, we call that fermentation. Their reproduction, the reason we can get sick pretty fast when we come in contact with the bacteria is they can reproduce as often as every 20 minutes. And most of them, when they're reproducing, they're asexually reproducing by binary fission, they are doubling. They are making, one cell is making two cells, and then two cells is making two cells. And so you've got an exponential increase, and we'll do a problem to show you that in just a minute. So you can get a lot of bacteria and really sick really fast. Some also reproduce sexually where you have two different parent bacteria. And in that, each parent, they connect with a thread-like bridge of cytoplasm, and they each donate half their DNA, and that's called conjugation, and you get a new daughter cell. In binary fission, the cell is just making a copy of its DNA, so the two daughter cells are actually clones of the original bacteria. Now, mutations do occur. We know that bacteria can do that. Bacteria that live in the harshest environments, the deep ocean, the extreme heat, extreme cold, sometimes to be able to survive that, they store their genetic material in a spore within the bacteria cell, and it can be, it's not reproducing at that time, but its genetic material is in storage, and then when the conditions become more favorable, that spore can open up and reproduce a new bacteria, and Clostridium botulinum will do that, and that's a bacteria that lives in the soil. So if you think about it, might be frozen in the winter, and then when it's no longer frozen, or if the soil's too wet, too dry, then when the drought is over, the flooding is over, the spore will open up and begin to multiply. So bacteria can reproduce in several ways to guarantee the survival of their species. Now, in nature, the bacteria serves positive roles. It produces lots of oxygen. It is the recyclers and cleanup of dead, decaying plant matter, animal matter. We use it in food production if you like pickles. Vinegar is used in a lot of foods that have a little acidic taste. It's used in the production of the medicine insulin, which is very necessary for people who are diabetic. We've already mentioned that E. coli live in our digestive system and help with digestion. So it has some positive roles. Now, negatively, it does cause disease, and it can also, food will go bad due to bacterial growth. Now, pasteurization is the term we use to describe how we kill bacteria in food before we serve it. Milk is a product that milk comes from the cow, and it has to be pasteurized to get rid of any of the bacteria from the cow before you drink it, so you will not get sick. And pasteurization doesn't change the taste, it just uses heat to kill the bacteria. Now, a limiting factor is something that would prevent the bacteria population from being successful and being able to reproduce. Bacteria reproduce so quickly, the really only limiting factor they have is food. If there is not enough nutrients out there for them, that's really the only thing that will slow down their growth. Now, we also use medications called antibiotics to try to limit their growth. Now, bacteria reproduction is a doubling problem. They reproduce quickly. Binary fission is the primary way they do it, so it's exponential because they are doubling. So imagine this, you're stepping on a nail, it has the tetanus bacteria on it. Within 90 minutes your foot is swelling, it's showing red, it's showing signs of infection from this puncture wound. So let's think about this. If the bacteria is doubling every 20 seconds, how many bacteria are now in your foot in just 2 minutes? And remember, 2 minutes is equal to 120 seconds. So think about that for a minute. Remember, it's a doubling problem, so I can go 2 to the whatever exponent for how many times it's doubled to solve my problem. So we'll pause here and do that problem.